Tonight's guest struck TV gold twice with 90210 and Melrose Place. His new show, Central Park West, brought him not only a lucrative deal, but yours truly. How lucky can Darren Star get? Let's find out. So now you had a very comfortable life growing up, is that right? Is that the reason why your shows are so upscale and glossy?
Comfortable. I had sort of a nice middle-class life. I mean, I don't know, I like entertainment, and I think that this is the sort of, certainly I can draw on experiences like my high school to a degree, but it's really about high school in general, and I did draw on my experiences. I lived in a comfortable suburb. It wasn't as comfortable as Beverly Hills, but I think that probably influenced 90210. And Melrose Place is sort of a fantasy of LA. I lived in a courtyard apartment building with a pool after college, with a group of people, you know, not quite as degenerate as the cast of Melrose Place, but that wasn't actually all that comfortable. The clothes are better on Melrose Place than anything that we were wearing, but.
You know, people get addicted. I mean, they're really, truly addicted to the show. You're sort of a drug dealer. Yeah. How does this, well, I guess we'll get back into the deep addictions that you spread across the countryside later. You started out writing films.
Right.
So why do you think that TV is the thing that actually clicked for you?
I don't know. I was writing movies for a while, for about 6 years. I got a break pretty young, and I really never thought about television. I never watched television. I watched movies. I was a movie fanatic. And then the opportunity to write the 90210 pilot came along, and at the time, I had written a movie at Warner Brothers called If Looks Could Kill, and I thought that was going to be a huge hit. And that 90210 was this little TV thing that I was kind of like, you know, I was kind of slumming in television for a while.
Didn't tell people you were doing it?
Yeah, just say, oh, I'm doing this little, I wrote this TV pilot. But then it got made very quickly. What I love about television is that things happen fast. And in features, the budgets are so large, there are so many frightened executives that only make very few movies, and it's very star-driven, director-driven, that you can have a great piece of material that'll sit around and wait for the right star to commit, and that star can commit, and then he or she can say, you know what, I changed my mind, and then it's back on the shelf again.
Years have gone by.
And years did go by. I mean, I had a couple things produced, but, you know, I felt like I wrote a lot of good screenplays that just weren't getting produced, and I was making a nice living, but it wasn't that satisfying. And then when I wrote the pilot for 90210, it got shot, it got made, it was on the air, and suddenly we had, you know, to come up with an episode every week. And I like that pace. I like to sort of create.
It was adrenaline rush.
Exactly. And TV is an adrenaline rush. I mean, I think you have to be up for it. It doesn't offer the sort of the luxury of filmmaking, as you know, because you're doing it right now. You know, you get in there and you do it, and you just, the product sometimes is amazingly good for the, you know, short amount of time that you really have to get it on the screen.
You somehow tapped into the unconscious of the country.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. I mean, I did, you know, you never know what's really happening. At one point, I was watching, the ratings were dismal on 90210. I think I saved them. We were getting like 6 shares. It was really sort of off the map in terms of how low the numbers were. And then I thought that was going to be it. I didn't think the show was going to make it through the year. And then we had this meeting with these guys at Fox, and we never wanted to go into Fox at that time because we just thought we were sort of, you know, despised, and we were producing this horrible little show that was getting these terrible numbers. And then we walked in, and then they showed us all these charts and graphs and everything, and we were getting like 65% of all the teenagers watching television were watching 90210. And I had no idea because I don't like hang out with a lot of 12-year-old girls, so I didn't have a sense that these guys were watching the show.
Well, then why were you getting dismal shares?
Well, that's not enough. It's not enough. You still need more, but you know what? It kind of snowballed, and it was really the girls at the beginning. I got to be honest. The teenage boys came in after the girls, but it was sort of like all the teenage girls in the country were watching 90210 and on the phone with their friends, and it kind of became this phenomenon that really took off when Luke Perry made some sort of appearance in a shopping mall in Florida and had to be taken out in a shoebox or something like that. They had to spirit him away so he didn't get like torn to pieces, and it made like the front page of the Miami papers, and I was shocked. I was sitting in my house sort of like writing the show, and I got this sort of fax came through, and this picture, and 10,000 teenage girls mob Luke Perry. And I thought, wow, someone's watching the show. So it kind of went from there.
What happened with the cast after that happened?
Well, they were all waiting to get mobbed in shopping malls. You know, they were waiting for their turn. But no, the cast was really, I mean, it was nice in a sense that we did the show in a vacuum almost. We just figured no one was watching anyway, so we were going to do exactly what we wanted to do, and nobody really was paying that much attention. And there was a time when I saw maybe the 12th episode of the series, and Jenny Garth, who's a terrific actress, was, there was a slumber party show, and all the girls were sort of sharing their deep, dark secrets, and she was talking about how she'd been date raped by this quarterback who she really had this thing for, and when they finally got together, he kind of date raped her. And the camera was sort of pushing in on her face, and she was crying as she was telling, sort of telling the story, and I thought, you know, if I were a teenager flipping through, you know, channel surfing, and I saw this, I would stop and watch, because it was kind of riveting. And
you would get your ideas just from things that happened in your school, or
just you know, I don't think it comes so much from what happens to you as from once the characters are created, imagining what would happen in the lives of these characters. You know, I think you really project yourself into this imaginary world and into the lives of these imaginary characters.
And then the actors are really outside of the imaginary world, and they are informed every week what's going to happen to them?
Yeah, because they are such a part of the imaginary world that, just like their characters, you wouldn't want them to know too far in advance what's going to happen
like life.
Next. Otherwise, like life, exactly.
In our show, in Central Park West,
I don't tell you anything.
I know you don't. It's really annoying. I thought if I could get you on the show, you see.
Right.
But it is really fun every week to go on the set and find out what Ron's about to do to me, what my husband's going to do, or who he's doing to other people.
Right.
What he's doing.
Or what you're about to do to somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The amazing thing is I had no idea you were that young. I mean, look what you get to do. You get to push around me.
Glad to hear that's young, I know.
34 is really young. Really, really, really young. I mean, you're just sort of getting a handle on being an adult.
True.
I think it's amazing how much you've done in such a very short time. What do you think drove you? It's like you've had a missile up your butt.
It is like I've had a missile on my butt. It's a very good way of putting it. That's how it's felt. We've done so many episodes on 90210 and Melrose Place. We do 32 episodes each season, which is a huge number of shows. And we hardly get any breaks. And after the first year of 90210, it was exhausting. And we had this meeting with the Fox executives when they were liking us a little bit more. And they said, gee, we want you to come. And I was ready to drop. And they said, we want you to come back. We want you to debut July 11th, which meant that we were already behind in terms of getting the show up for this second year. And so my big vacation was like going to Hawaii for 4 days with another producer of the show and working on the show. And then the following year, I had the chance to do Melrose Place, and I thought, well, I can't turn this down, because the time is now to do this, and then the time was now to do Central Park West, so.
All right, we're going to come back and dig in here some more. We'll be right back with Darren Star.
You think we'll be together forever?
Star. Both of your previous mega hits came from your life's experience, in a way. Now, New York doesn't. This comes more from your imagination. Yes or no?
Yeah, no, it does. I haven't lived in New York extensively, but I'm fascinated by New York in general. So it's more following my fascination than my experience this time, which is great, because I kind of feel like my life every day, my day-to-day life is being put into my creativity, which is great. And I see it happening, you know.
And what New Yorker gets to move here, and that happens to them immediately?
Yeah, I mean, at my birthday party, George Plimpton was at my birthday party. He just happened to show up, and I said, you know, you should really be yourself. You should come on the show and be like a writer who's sort of disgruntled with Mariel Hemingway because she's killing your piece in the magazine. He said, I'd love to do that.
Good.
And so, you know, that sort of stuff is going on, which is neat.
I have a whole bunch of friends I could, like, come get in there and cause a little trouble now and again.
Get in there. Like, you know, George Wayne, who's this gossip columnist, he's right. He has just totally taken off on the show. I mean, he's consumed by the show. He saw the pilot. And now he wrote this, one of his columns was about him at the Zinc Bar holding court, and all the characters in the show interacting with him at the Zinc Bar. And also real people that were there with him at his table, Jacques Soto and just all these people. And I felt, God, this is wild. It's sort of, it's kind of crossing the line a little bit.
So we can start getting Richard Johnson in and, you know, all the different people.
Yeah.
Cindy Adams coming. So you love living in New York, huh?
I do. Yeah, I'm having a good time.
Well, you gotta love her. It'll eat you, I tell you.
Yeah, well,
That's the great thing of it.
It's got the energy, and I mean, you know, it's got what I want to put into the show. I mean, if I can try to capture that feeling of New York and the intensity and the spirit, and you know, I think I love Europe, and I kind of think that New York is the most European of all American cities, and I think it's closer to Paris than it is to Los Angeles in the way people live.
It's even a little close to Cairo. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and
close
Bombay,
to a
I
lot
imagine,
of
yes.
places. Very much Bombay and very, very much Calcutta.
Yeah, but
Seriously,
you
Calcutta.
feel life living in New York,
Yeah.
and you don't feel life living in Los Angeles quite the same way. You can choose to ignore life in Los Angeles.
I never thought the riots could happen in New York like they happened in Los Angeles, because in New York, no matter how rich or how poor you are, you're always in everybody else's face. So
Right,
you have
people
to see
aren't
them as
strangers.
a human. Yeah, you have to see them as a human and not a race or
The
something.
the riots in L.A. were really terrifying. I mean, it felt like the apocalypse. I remember watching the city burn from my house up above Sunset, and then walking to, you know, to try to get some groceries or something like that. And the traffic was bumper to bumper on Sunset. It wasn't moving. It just was stopped. I mean, just stuck there. And it was about 99 degrees.
And people were trying to get out of the city?
People were trying to get out of the city. They were lining up at any food place that was open, but most everything was closed. And you could hear people just like looting, and it was anarchy. And the police were gone. Yes, and it felt like the end of it felt just like the end of the world. All the car phones were dead. That's what was really weird.
Car phones dead in Hollywood?
Car phones dead in Hollywood. I know, because they just shut it down. I don't know why it happened, but they just shut it down. So as you're inching home, trying to like call people and trying to figure out what's going on here, I've never heard the whole system dead before. It was eerie.
I guess they needed it for over the wire.
I don't know. It was eerie. But you're right. I don't think that could happen quite the same way in New York.
We have to see each other as humans because we're in each other's face all day. There's no way of ghettoizing yourself like you can in L.A.
Right.
Why do you think Models, Inc. failed? It was a spelling spin-off of your Melrose Place, right, in a way?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was originally approached to Models, Inc., and I said, you know what? Yes. That's why I really wanted to do for this show. And I thought, I just can't, you know, the world of models, the lives of models are, to me, inherently not that, I mean, for very few, they're fascinating, okay? But not all models are Lauren Hutton, but you're not, I mean, you're doing a talk show. I mean, you're in a TV series. Also, you have a life, you know?
It didn't look like any model world I ever knew or anything about.
Yeah, I knew, it wasn't my world.
Yeah.
And I knew I couldn't write it from my heart. You know, I couldn't write Models, Inc. from my heart the way I wrote 90210 and the way I wrote Melrose Place. And so I wouldn't know what to do. And that's what I said. I said, quite honestly, I would not know what to do with this show. And after having had 2 successes, I don't want to fail. I don't want to try something that I know that's not up my alley. And so somebody else did it, and basically I sort of had nothing to do with it. I saw the pilot, and that was it.
All right, so what do you do with an actor like me, that says, no, I won't sleep with my lesbian grandmother?
Uh-huh. Well, that particular incident hasn't happened yet, but anything's possible. It could be coming. It could be you, actually.
I'm too old for that, I promise you.
Okay.
If I had a lesbian grandmother, she would be, well, she'd have to be like 100 and something,
okay.
and I don't think there's, you know.
They're not out there. Maybe 1 or 2.
No, it was very unpopular.
Generally, that doesn't really happen. I mean, certainly actors will call and say, they don't really call and gripe about storylines. I would slap them if they did. I really would.
Oh, I thought I griped already, haven't I? No.
I mean, or maybe I have a high tolerance for what constitutes griping. I'm willing to listen, you know, but it doesn't mean that anything's going to change.
No,
but
I'm changed so far.
Yeah, but I'll listen, and I think, you know, just the same way I would never get on the set and give line readings for an actor. You know, there's got to be a sort of a bond of trust established between an actor and a writer producer that I'm going to write something that is going to, it's going to work. And if it doesn't, the show's going to fail anyway. It's going to be off the air. But if the show's successful, then there's got to, then there's got to be some sort of mutual trust going on, because it means the writing's there and then the acting's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I think the actors, from what I can see, they do trust you, because they are. It is fun. It's really fun,
yeah.
And I didn't expect it to be fun, and.
Should be fun.
I sort of did it for my own nefarious reasons, and it's something that I haven't done on purpose for a very long time. And I sort of was leery when I told my friends.
But I told you it was going to be fun.
Yes, I know you did, but I didn't know you.
Right, that's
so
true.
I didn't.
That's true.
I had no idea who you were. Turn on to Lauren Hutton and Janice Ian. You won't be sorry. Monday. Your shows help put the Fox network on the map. And now CBS has a lot riding on the success of Central Park West. Right. Are you feeling the pressure?
I'm trying not to feel the pressure, because there's nothing more I can do that I'm doing. So I'm trying to have a good time.
Yeah. And,
at least, if go down knowing that it was a lot of fun, rather than knowing that it was like a terrible experience. It's been a great experience, and hopefully that comes through. I think it does come through in this show, just like when the writers sit around, the writing staff of Melrose Place, we sit around and come up with these stories. I mean, we have a blast coming up with these stories. We're just like laughing our heads off.
What's it like? You sit around a nice room. How's it work?
We sit around a room, just sort of a very basic room, and we just start talking about throwing out ideas, and every once in a while, somebody throws out, a clunker that just kind of thuds, but we kind of build on each other's ideas, and there's sort of an energy that happens when the right people are together.
So it's like group storytelling? One person tells part of a story, and somebody else adds on the story, and then it's all fighting back and forth about it. And
it is, and people get very passionate about their points of view and their stories, and very emotional. And if somebody can have a story that they feel strongly about, and if sometimes they'll get divided, and then one person will be this sort of decisive person. I mean, usually that comes to me. I have to make that decision one way or another. But when it gets shot down by somebody else in the room, I mean, there can be like major writer catfights going on. I think the meek and timid writers don't generally get their voices heard. I mean, you really got to be passionate about your ideas, whether they're good or bad. I know one writer in particular was objecting. I can't remember the storyline, but I remember she was very vociferous about saying, "I hate this. This is illogical. I don't buy it." And I'm like, well, we're doing it because I think it's going to work. And she, I'm sure, felt the way that some other audience members felt when they saw that show. But that's okay, because just as long as it elicits a response from people, that they're not just sitting there catatonically watching their television set and feeling nothing.
They're not. And there's also a lot of complaining going on, I know, about hairdos, my hairdo, for instance, at different times, about lipstick. Look at things done with her lips this day, or look at that outfit.
Yes, that's sort of out of my realm. I was really shocked when one of the first 90210s that I wrote that aired, I had a group of friends over to watch it, a lot of women, and we're there, and we're watching the show, and it's over, and I'm thinking, I really thought it was just terrific. I thought it was a great script, and I was really into it, and I'm like, well, what do you think? They're saying, this dress, or that hairstyle, and I'm thinking, what dress? What hairstyle? What are you talking about? And they were just going off on the actress's wardrobe, hair and makeup and wardrobe.
But see, for them, fashion is destiny, or fashion is character. So they feel that if a character doesn't have this thing right or that thing right, they're just,
and it taught me something. It made me realize that I had to pay attention to that. And with Central Park West, we have Jeffrey Curlin, who did wonderful costume designer, did all of Woody Allen's movies, and I wanted the best person I could find on the show, because I know that people are watching, some of the audience, that's what they're watching. The story is kind of incidental. They're watching the clothes, they're watching the hairstyles.
What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of disappointing myself. That's what I'm afraid of. I hate creating something that I'm not happy with. That's a fear.
But we still get out there and try it.
Yeah,
You've done it right so far.
People forget failure pretty quickly once you have some success. They forget that you failed.
Yeah, that's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
Because that would help people that are afraid to try.
Yeah, and that was one wonderful thing about Aaron Spelling. I mean, he would always say it when Melrose Place was sort of in its darkest hours. he was always trying to, like, eke out a few more episodes from Fox, and I would think, why? Just
let us die in peace.
Let us die in peace. Yes, nobody, you know, the show is not working, but that when you know that someone is believing in you and you're still getting that chance, it kind of forces you to come through.
Is that his genius? I mean, you know him very well. He was your mentor.
Yeah, I think that's certainly part of his genius, is that he doesn't accept defeat.
All right, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Come again.
All right.
Bye.
Slick 50 protects the vital moving parts of your engine for up to 50,000 miles. Slick 50 starting your engine without it is a terrible thing to do.
In a taste test of high-fiber cereals, the uniquely light and crispy taste of Fiber One was preferred over these other leading brands. Fiber One, the one that tastes better.
This is Jergens body shampoo, and this is the sponge. Just a little squeeze. There's so much lather. It tingles. It feels fantastic.
Jergens body shampoo.
Glade Clip-Ons, the refillable air freshener designed specially for your car. Now with more freshening power.
.30 on 7.
The following is an ABC special presentation.
Get ready for 50 of your favorite stars as you've never seen them before. Stars like Jay Leno, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Richards, Jane Seymour, and hosted by Scott Baio. Plus many more of today's biggest and brightest stars. Way back when, before they were stars.
Hi, I'm Scott Baio, and welcome to an all-new edition of Before They Were Stars. Tonight, you're in for lots of fun and surprises. You'll see one of Primetime's most eligible bachelors before he was a hunk. One of television's hottest talk show hosts burning up the competition in the Miss Fire Prevention Contest. And one of the big screen's sexiest leading ladies in a role to die for, co-starring with the zaniest zombies this side of a B movie. Hey, this show is so good it's downright scary. Oh. Speaking of scary, you know, being a struggling actor in Hollywood can be pretty frightening. But nothing is scarier than what these next actors did before they were stars.
Like a razor. It looked like a baby vacuum cleaner, made out of light, strange stuff, when everybody knows a razor is heavy and made out of metal. No, it was not exactly love at first sight. Well, you shave and learn.
Who are you? Please, I beg you, speak to me. Don't go. Come back, speak to me. Come back. Look out! Boy, I think we're in trouble. Oh, really? Are you all right? Yeah, I guess so. Hang on! I'll try to find a way in.
That's no mystery why this next performer became a star. She's been writing her own ticket ever since murdering audiences with her nightclub act when she was only 16 years old. She told them she was 19. All right, that's enough. No more clues. Come on. Now see if you can figure out who's sitting on top of the charts with our #1 song of the week.
I don't know why I am so very shy. I always was demure. I never knew what silly lovers do. No flirting I'd endure. In all my life I never kissed a man. I never winked my eye. But now at last I'm going to break the ice. So how'd you like to try? How'd you like to spoon with me?
I like.
How'd you like to spoon with me?
Well, rather.
Sit beneath an oak tree, large and shady. Call me little Tootsie, Woodsy, baby. How'd you like to wag and squeeze?
Indeed, I would.
Dangle me upon your knee.
Have if I could.
How'd you like to be my lovely Rosie? How'd you like to spoon with me?
Not but I would.
These next young stars had a brush with greatness early in their careers. That's why, for a better smile, 4 out of 5 dentists now recommend that you watch the following clips.
New Ultra Bright toothpaste, a taste you can really feel. New Ultra Bright gives your mouth sex appeal.
New Ultra Bright toothpaste. The kickiest taste, the brightest teeth, the freshest breath. That spells sex appeal.
New Ultra Bright gives your mouth sex appeal.
You couldn't have known it. It wasn't in the script. And then, suddenly, you're close up. That's why you always need clear close-up toothpaste. For the whitest teeth, the freshest breath. Because you never know when you're going to be close up.
That's mine.
You need this hole to beat me, Bob.
Now, you better worry, George. I got it made.
Your dad's buddy.
Dad!
Jody?
A checkup. Jimmy only had 2 cavities, and I didn't have any.
Hey, we really did it.
Crest can't promise everybody results like this, but we can promise most people good checkups.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
Well, I made a lot of holes, and now I gotta fill it up with this here silver stuff.
Well, aren't you gonna pull any?
Well,
Oh, go on.
well, it's your mouth.
Well, Dr. Favre, it's been quite an afternoon. I can truly say I've never enjoyed myself so much. I'll recommend you to all my friends. Thank you. Bye. Bye now.
From time to time, we here Before They Were Stars feel a responsibility. No, more like a moral obligation to offer helpful hints on how to improve the quality of your life. Tonight, some tips on how to enhance your love life from someone who's an expert at making your Saturday night lively.
It's no wonder this book, How to Pick Up Girls, has sold over 600,000 copies. It offers the hope of companionship. But do the lines in this book really work? Well, in the interest of science, I'll put these lines to the test. Remember, this is only a test. Our hidden camera will record the results. Hi. You look sensational in that blouse. Is that... I'll bet your name is Lisa.
No.
No? I'll bet your name is Lisa.
You want a Lisa, you got a Lisa.
Excuse me, weren't you this year's Rose Bowl queen? Was she? Is she?
Couldn't you do better than that?
Are you French?
Yes.
You are? Ouch, I think I have a piece of glass in my foot. Would you take a look? Do you have an aspirin? Well, some of those women showed amazing restraint, don't you think?
You know, every once in a while, we like to drop in unexpectedly and surprise a star with a long-forgotten clip. Tonight's target is the beautiful and talented star of the television series Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Jane Seymour. There she is, over there.
Oh, my God, what's this? What's going on?
Jane Seymour, we're here from Before They Were Stars, and do we have a surprise for you? Take a look.
For I really don't know where I'm going.
I haven't seen this. I don't think I've ever seen it.
There you are.
Look at the hair.
There's that beautiful long hair.
I know. I think I was 15 or 16, but I look about 12.
And Alice are mine, whose person you spy, such a sweet little girl who's so pretty. My hair's very long, and I am very fond of considering myself to be witty. So when I'm put out, I go sulky and pout, which would seem to be some contradiction in natural law, but then that's the flaw in the Wonderland stories of fiction. In the Wonderland stories of fiction.
And Alice am I, in whose person you spy, such a sweet little girl who's so pretty. I can't do it anymore. It was kind of high. Anyway, that was, God, I don't know how you ever found that. That was Here Come the Double Deckers. It was a kids' program in England, and they did a kind of like an audition for maybe doing a movie about Alice in Wonderland, and I think they were auditioning me, and this was the audition. And I played Alice in Wonderland. But in those days, before I was an actress, I was a singer and a dancer, so that was what I was trained for, and aren't we glad I don't do that anymore? I can't believe it.
Up next, it's the Before They Were Stars Amateur Hour. Then get ready for your date with a star. But first...
Flame broiling versus frying in a coast-to-coast opinion poll. Burger King flame broils, McDonald's fries. And here are the results.
Do you know the results of our quiz? Don't go away. We'll be right back with the answer.
Think about this. A hair color that's a cream. Excellence cream. Excellence doesn't drip, it even protects. And it really covers gray.
Well, modesty prevents us from telling you the winner. But here's a little hint.
Flame broiling! Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?
All right, quick question. What do a cowboy, a dancer, a magician, and a clown all have in common? Oh, no, they're not the newest members of the Village People. Come on. They're all aspiring young stars looking for their big break in show business.
Welcome to the Before They Were Stars Amateur Hour, where every performer is a star of the future. Let's meet our first talented contestant.
My name is Randy Ray, and I want to be a star, and I'd like to do a little song for you now that I wrote. If you think that I've gone to pieces and my world's come apart at the seams,